Good morning. Good morning. This is the Straight Talk Morning Show, and my name is Andre Hill Sr., and my co-host is Andre Hill Jr. What's going on, Junior?
Hey, let me get my headphones straight. Can y'all hear me out there? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Grand Rising, everybody. Grand Rising.
All right. So this has been a wild and crazy week, and today is Halloween, huh?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's been wild and crazy. It's been busy for me. It's just been busy.
So Halloween is falling on a Saturday, and it's a full moon.
Yeah.
Is that madness or what?
No, it's gonna be. You know what? Just be optimistic, man. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. As a matter of fact, I hadn't made any plans tonight, but now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know, man. I might, I don't know, dress up as a Black Panther or something and go out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, because they killed off our Black Panther, man.
Yeah, I know.
And that's something.
So,
the one black hero we get, they done killed him off.
Oh, you talking about that Black Panther? I was talking about the Black Panthers. I was gonna get a leather jacket and a beret.
Yeah.
But yeah,
but they all tie in together.
Yeah, I got you. But yeah, rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman, man. Yeah, one guy. You're right, man. Yeah, and there's nobody that can really like replace that.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
All right.
Anyway.
All right. So the topics that I posted on Facebook and last night, The Handmaid's Tale. So this is an interesting series.
Oh, it's a series?
Yeah. So I checked it out. I got hooked on it.
Okay.
And that was the objective, and I'm not getting a dime for talking about this, but what the point behind this is in the divine order, when Luciferian demonic souls that are manipulating this planet, there is a prime directive that they have to advertise, they have to promote what they're going to do to you.
Right.
Just like in the Wizard of Oz, or all of these movies, they call it art imitating life, but it sometimes it set the stage for life, and but there's a divine requirement, or from my perspective, a galactic requirement that they at least put out in the airways, what they're thinking.
Yeah, there has to be. In this experiment, it's got to be a variable of truth in it.
All right, yeah.
Right.
So you have the ability of discernment to determine how you're going to interpret,
to make some kind of choice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to talk about The Handmaid's Tale, my interpretation, and also which administration is most likely to manifest this scenario, Trump or Biden, or both. Okay. Because the outcome of the Handmaid's Tale is some sick stuff, man.
Oh, really? Is it?
Yeah, but see, the title is misleading.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's a whole political system that's dictated by the King James version of religion.
I got you.
They actually take the Bible and use it as the Constitution on judging and setting an outline of how society is going to operate.
I got you.
And it's pure madness.
I got you.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to come back to that. Also, Hispanic and Black American Replacement Code. All right. Okay. So, I've been on this planet now for quite some time, and I've seen, this transition going on, and I had to pull it all together. And I think you and I, we've talked about it a lot. We talk about it with our MIAC group and, a number of other things that we've been working on. So I'm going to give my interpretation of this replacement code and what Black Americans need to understand. All right. And, indigo children. So I touched on it last week.
Yeah, indeed. And what I'm going to do is you actually sent me a good article.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a few paragraphs. I'm not going to read the whole thing.
Okay.
I'm going to read the first few paragraphs
Good deal.
And then we're going to get into the 13 common traits of indigo children.
Yeah, I got notes right here.
Oh, you got your notes?
I did my homework.
Oh, man.
That's why
Gotcha.
that's why I made it through school. I did my homework. All right. So, how to recognize whether you or your children are indigo children?
Mhm.
All right. So, all right. Let's go back to the number one topic here.
The Handmaid. You tell me about that, man.
Okay. So, The Handmaid's Tale is a story, and I didn't get into the full research, but I think it's from a novel from 1985, and but it tapped into what's going on right now. People were protesting in the streets. You know, I don't remember specifically what they were protesting, but most likely they're protesting the change. You know, the paradigm shift, because this revolution is happening all over the planet.
All over the planet.
In
right.
Asia, you know, Africa.
Yeah.
People are going like, why are we still going along with these dictators,
Yeah.
these so-called, these fake kings and queens,
Yep.
these fake religious leaders,
Yeah.
and they're living a life of luxury because they've compromised their soul,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and all the rest of the human, we're the ones that's working, we're the ones that's providing energy to keep this planet going, and we're suffering.
Yes.
You know, so people are waking up to the fact that this is some bull crap, and there needs to be a change.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so The Handmaid's Tale, now check this out now. I'm going to give you, overview. So the system started breaking down, and you know how we talked about AI, artificial intelligence, that had taken the planet because of these groups, these one percenters, these kings, these dictators, these mentally deranged psychotic maniacs.
Right.
You know, now the planet is all jacked up. And so birth rates are not happening because, you know, nature will reject you. If you continue to abuse and offend nature,
That's a fact.
it'll shut you down. You won't be able to produce any more children. You're going to start getting diseases,
Yes,
all of
indeed.
this sort of crazy thing. And so that's where this particular series. So just like what they're trying to set up right now, the ruling, these maniacs implemented martial law.
Okay.
All right. And because the birth rates were dropping to zero.
Right.
And so they were trying to find fertile women. And so this whole scenario was set up that certain people that was willing to submit themselves to this new law, they wrote a script or a constitution based on biblical phrases.
Okay.
And they were actually quoting these biblical phrases and using that as the law to, you know, in the case of multiple wives. And so whatever men subscribe to this and the wives subscribe to it, they can have handmaids, because if the wife could not produce or the men could not produce,
Oh, I got you.
the handmaids were chosen because they were fertile.
I got you.
And so in the movie, the men, they call them commander. So the commander means they were over whatever particular division
I got you.
of this madness, and but they were allowed to have a handmaid with a wife that they had sex with and could impregnate, and the wife would sit there with the handmaid while the commander or these men that subscribe to this craziness had sex with that woman to produce children.
Wow. So you say this is on what, HBO or something? What's it on?
Well, you know, I hate advertising it, but you know, y'all can look it up.
I'll
Yeah,
find it. I'll find it.
but it's The Handmaid's Tale. Is you know, just look it up online. And so this is result of a few people that we know that was part of genetics, you know, in terms of birth control that ran for president and lost. And this current administration, you know, the hypocrisy, because when this guy took the Bible and walked out in front of the church and held this Bible up in front of the church, he was invoking these evangelicals that, you know, are holier than thou. And I'm still confused that they're holier than thou, and here's a man that admitted, you say, if you want to seduce a woman, just grab her by the crotch. All of this craziness. And if Michelle Obama had half of the history of this current, these hypocrites, these evangelical hypocrites will be all over her.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's madness. So I put forth the question: which administration you think is capable of manifesting? Now, we just a few days from deciding who's going to be running the White House for the next 4 years. And so, I mean, this thing was crazy. I mean, they were abusive to the women. They were being raped. They were being beaten, and to submit to this system. And the excuse was because nature needs you, to start having these children. But we're going to beat you into submission.
Yeah, that wasn't nature. That was them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the 1% is the ones who are responsible for jacking up our planet with oil and all of this crazy antiquated technology.
Yeah.
Now they're gonna say, well, we're gonna blame the women.
Right.
We're gonna put the brunt of this on the women.
Yeah. It's patriarchy's most common misdirection play.
Yeah.
They always throw stuff on the women. Now, that's a good question, though, as far as which one of these administrations is going to lead a regime that may lead into that. And I'll be honest with you, like right now, it is hard to say because you got black people in this country right now who at the moment, or they may be coming down to who they gonna choose in the next week or so. But let's say in the last 3 weeks, the vote was split almost with black people. A lot of black people was considering voting for Trump.
Okay.
And I think this is the reason why, because you have, and especially black men. I would say there's a lot of black men that consider voting for Trump. I said, listen. I said I don't know who I'm voting for, and black people was mad at me. I was like, well, wait a minute, like yo. Let me choose and think. But anyway, but a lot of, I think what the narrative of black men is, they like, yo, so we didn't get we missed our opportunity to galvanize economically. We know that we're not, we're trying to figure out who we have a better chance of doing that under. That's what a lot of black men are thinking right now.
Right.
In other words, what kind of policies are going to be put into place to where we can have more access to capital? Bottom line, they trying to figure out who's going to do that Biden or Trump. Now, I'd say this, on the other hand, speaking to the big point that you brought up here, which is nature, because, capitalism drives an onslaught against nature. It just does.
Absolutely.
That's what it does. And I will say this, I haven't looked into it very thoroughly. And truth told is, there's not a whole lot to look into when it comes to Biden's policy on environmental justice. And there's not a whole lot to look into at this point. But either way, that is that if there's anything that should swing his vote, then it should be that.
Okay.
Because at this point, because even if I'm speaking to black men right now, capitalism is still short term. If we was gonna vote for Trump and for the sake of having some access to capital over the next 20 years or so, that's just what it's going to be. It's going to be a 20-year thing. And mind you, if you don't know how to really circulate that money, you're going to end up giving it back to them anyway. Now, the truth of the matter is, like take reparations, for instance. Everybody's saying we can't give, black people are saying we can't give black folks a check because they're going to spend it. 70% of them are going to spend it on something that ain't got nothing to do with repairing our community.
Right.
Black people are saying it's about black people. I said, a lot of us saying, all right, well, that's fine. Well, okay, there's still 30% of us who we know exactly what we gonna do with that money to repair our community, and that is still worth it, right? Because it's like, because 30% of black people can make a big enough paradigm shift and build enough resource to to at least stain another 30 to 40% of those 70% of people who going of 70% of black people gonna blow their check on some frivolous. So saying all that to say this, you know, I'm just throwing that out there.
Well,
Just so you can.
So your vote on this scenario, The Handmaid's Tale. Now, I mean, it was brutal.
I got you.
It was what they did to women. And the weird thing about it, I know it was based on white supremacy, but what they did was they sprinkled it in a few black women, and that was right.
So that tried to get us into the
so they but I mean, what they subjected the women to, man, it was horrendous, and so you got to think about, if you understand the prime directive, that it says that this entity who's manipulating our planet, making slaves out of all of us, put that out there or allowed that this particular move. So it's on their minds.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, well, it's not only is it on their minds, it's like they're doing stuff like that, right now. I'll tell you this, I've seen some stuff from both parties. Behind, I done seen some stuff that Joe's into. I done seen some stuff that Trump's into, and both of them have similar effects as that kind of outcome.
So what is your vote, Trump or Biden?
I can't tell y'all that on the air.
No, I'm saying based on the track record. Now,
you're talking about which one
is more likely to manifest the scenario of the Handmaid's Tale.
Well, let's say this: when it comes to the whole party, who has a better chance of ushering that in? Technically, it's Democrats.
Democrats. All right.
Yeah, I mean, if y'all go do y'all listen. If y'all do y'all's history on Democrats from when the Democrat Party started, y'all be like, whoa. Yeah, so not, I mean, to keep it short, and y'all go do some of your own research. But, Democrats was a party created to fight the original black Republican Party. That's why Democrats is here in the first place. That's the only reason they band together and galvanized is to combat the original all black, well, I'll say primarily black Republican Party. Because the original Republican Party was black people. Go do your own research. We ain't got a whole lot of time, so we're gonna keep it moving.
So okay, so I stated who's most likely, Trump or Biden or both. So you. I
mean, like I said, going back, I'm telling you. Listen, we've been saying this since Joe popped up talking about he about to run. We was like, really? Is him and him? So no, it's like, listen, both of them, and we already know that we down to the wire. We like, we know there's lesser two evils and all of that. What up? But we know what the Democratic Party is capable of, as well as regardless of how there is a I don't want to say a facade. I'm just going to say what kind of presentation they put out versus what they actually do. I'm not saying that the current Republican regime is entirely better. No, that's not what I'm saying. I will say this: it's a whole lot easier to cut through the smoke when it comes to Republicans, the current Republican system. It's a whole lot easier to see exactly what it is that they're about. But I'm not saying they're better. But when it comes to that, regime, as far as when we're talking about martial law, when we're talking about overzealous religious practices, all of that, it is definitely prevalent, and I'd say I want to assume very strongly that it's prevalent in Republican circles, but we also know that it is definitely there in Democratic circles as
all right.
well.
We got to wrap this segment up, and we got two other segments. So my take on it, in terms of the Trump administration and the Biden administration, the Trump, what Trump did is when the Republican game changed, because Republicans represented business owners,
Yeah,
and business owners are the one percenters, within the community. Everybody that bought into capitalism are not business owners, because it takes a certain mentality.
Yeah.
So in order for the business owners to get their word in, being that they are the lesser, they are a smaller percentage of the population, they had to come up with a scheme.
Yeah.
And that scheme was, let's hint to white supremacy.
Yes.
Let's indicate to Caucasian people that
we represent them.
if you vote us in, we're going to maintain your first class citizenship.
Basically.
So now this has a dual effect and a negative effect of karma, that if you build a party based on saying you're going to give favor to one group because of their skin color, then that deteriorates and compromise your whole agenda.
Absolutely.
All right. And so now, like I said, you have these Caucasian evangelicals that's now supporting Trump. So why are they supporting him?
Yeah.
When from a moral perspective, he basically say, I'm gonna do like I do. I'm not subscribing to your Bible, but yet he held the Bible out in front of this church, and mind you,
Listen.
I can't confirm it, but the Bible was upside down.
Yeah, listen.
What?
They both of them do some goofy stuff.
Yeah.
And what gets caught on camera is what we watching is both parties throwing shots at each other, one way or the other.
Yeah.
But so let me ask you, so which administration do you think has a better chance of leading the country into?
Okay, so here's what I'm experiencing right now. Under the Trump administration, because he's a real estate development tycoon, he is conducting the narrative at HUD to sell all of that federal land to private developers, that poor people, that the regular man and woman, that was living on to get a leg up in this Luciferian economic system. So all that land now is being sold off to Republican developers, who's now converting it into high-end development properties.
Right.
Yeah. Or they're setting it up. In the first phase, when they acquire this property, they supposed to, for so many years, have it set up where it should accommodate people that are, struggling. People are trying to get their act together. College students, that need a leg up. Mm-hmm. But now under this administration, the narrative of the day is to all of these small individual HUD development organizations in those cities, whoever these administrators are, they are selling this property to high-end developers. And so now whole cities are being gentrified and being displaced. So if this is being done in the first 4 years of his administration, what do you think he's going to do in the second 4 years? Because he don't have anything to lose at this point.
I got you. So we think, or we're propagating that that gentrification, especially this most specific and recent tactic of gentrification, like especially regarding HUD housing, and we're talking about local housing authorities selling. In other words, they're doing this. Let me really paint the picture. So, in every city, whether it's primarily whether it's a lot of black people there or not, whether there's a big population of black folks there or not, we know we have projects there. All black people know what I'm talking about. we all know that we either got family in some projects or we got family who live a little bit down the street from the projects or a little bit on the outskirts. One of the three, or they live out in the country, whatever the case. But right now, we've all seen this all over the country that project housing, the original bricks, the original brick house, project housing is being torn down, and usually there's one or two type of developments going up there, like condominium type homes that are spread out wide, or you have high-rise apartment buildings that are being built on top of old project housing ground. Now, what usually happens is this. So when they tear the projects down, black people have to move somewhere temporarily. Usually it's Section 8. Usually it's somewhere they get a voucher, and they have to move to basically somewhere on the outskirts in the old suburban area where that was primarily owned by Caucasian people back in the 60s and 70s due to white flight. They have to move out there mostly with with a maybe that they'll have an option to move back into these new developments that they've built on their old community.
Right.
That's what's happening right now, right?
They have the option, but I've heard it from the horse's mouth that they only anticipate 30% of them moving back. And the reason why is that these organizations are not giving them an incentive to move back. They're not creating economic opportunity. They're looking at, well, this property is now in prime real estate, so we're going to make money off this deal, and they're not going to advertise and promote.
So wait, you know what? So all this time I've been, because that's an interesting point, and I know we ain't got a whole lot of time. It's an interesting point. Maybe we get into it after the break. But see, I was under the assumption that, no, there was only an option for 30% of them to come back.
No.
So all of them can come back. They just only anticipate 30% coming back.
Right.
Because we say right now, we're assuming there's no incentive. That's a good point.
Right.
Because now we got to figure out what is it that makes black people not want to move back into their own neighborhood. What is that truly? That's something that we got to say. Nobody else is going to do that but us.
Well, here's the other horror story. So we might as well cut into this segment about the Hispanic and the Black American Replacement Code. All right, so we got 2 minutes. I'm going to introduce it. So
Gotcha.
Here's what's happening with those developers. Now we have to deal with something Richard Pryor said a long time back in the 70s, is that the Caucasian establishment got them some new Negroes. That's not the word. They use the N-word.
I got you.
You know, this is what Richard Pryor said.
Right.
So this hypocritical, parasitic government system, it needs a host.
Absolutely.
So black people are no longer, we're starting to reject the parasite that's been using us as a host for 400 years.
Right.
And because we're waking up. So what this parasite is doing is saying, oh no, I can't live without a host.
I need some blood from somebody.
So the parasite now is saying, let's bring in a new host, and that's the Hispanics. So what these developers that are buying this property is doing, what they're doing is replacing and cherry pick. I don't know if it's called cherry picking, but they're picking mostly Hispanics to move back into these housing projects, which is going to change the scenario in terms of black representation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Huh?
Absolutely.
It's going to change the scenario of black representation in government offices, and there. So that takes us totally out of the equation.
Yeah, that's gerrymandering. What?
It's wicked.
3.0.
It's wicked.
Yeah.
And black folks are sitting back saying, "Well, they gonna do what they want to do anyway."
Yeah.
So we got to address that.
Yeah.
And because
I think that's going to lead into our indigo children talk. Because I think the main people who were saying that are older generation, saying they gonna do what they want to do anyway.
Yeah, mostly my generation.
I got you.
Yeah, and it's the women, and I understand why, because we the black men, we let them down.
That's a fact.
Yeah,
That's
we let our women down because we still to this day black men. You know, I was just in a meeting a few days ago. We still got egos.
Yeah.
We still trying to figure out who's gonna talk more eloquent, who know more. I know more than you know, and we still get jacked. And we done put our women and our children in jeopardy because of these jacked up egos.
Show you right.
Hey, we're going to break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Hispanic and Black American Replacement Code and then the Indigo Children. Stay tuned.
Comes to reality radio, everyone is a star.
I know that's right.
On your smooth soul and R&B station. On the World Wide Web.
Access granted.
In Touch Radio.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
You've been injured. You deserve help from an attorney that knows how to handle your injury claim. This is attorney Clinton Paris from the Law Office of Clinton Paris. For over a decade, I worked for insurance companies, and now I use that knowledge and experience to help people that have been injured. For a free consultation, call me, attorney Clinton Paris, at 813-413-7924. That's 813-413-7924, or at parislawoffice.com. At the Law Office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt. Offices, Riverview.
Okay, we're back, and this is Andre Hill Sr. and Andre Hill Jr. with the Straight Talk Morning Show. And boy, we got some hot topics. But before we go on, also, Chris Asafa, you know, with Blue Skies Insurance. You know, we need people to do business with our people. You know, because all this stuff that we're talking about is, why we are losing, and so Blue Sky Insurance. Chris is a technician. She's a self-described techie. What's the other word she calls herself? Not techie. A geek. Not geek. Something else. But anyway,
I forget.
Yeah, you know the catch. But and so what she does is she will go and research all the insurance games.
Oh, you mean nerd?
Nerd. Excuse me, I don't call her geek, techie. She's a nerd, and so she studies. And like I have an issue going on right now. So one of my providers has been kicked out of an insurance. So Chris said, "Let me get on it. Let me find you another provider." And she's doing the research. So, and this is a black woman, you know, and she's a hard worker. This is her life. So if you are if you're about to, or you're going to need a new agency to represent you, it's just like any other agency. She gets access to all of the different insurance groups, you know, because she's licensed across the board. So, but it all depends. What it boils down to, who's going to do the work for you. And Chris will do the work. So give her a call at 813-766-4474. She will sit down, work with you, look at your plan. If your plan is not working for you, she's going to make some recommendations on how to change it or what you should do. But not only that, she's building the industry to hire you, to hire your children, to recirculate dollars back in our community, because these other folks got a plan.
Yeah, absolutely.
And their plan does not include us.
Nah.
So let's do business with our people. All right. So the Hispanic and the Black American Replacement Code is a very serious issue. These developers are doing this, and they are changing the vote. And because their new host has bought into capitalism,
Uh,
and people don't recognize this. You know, they were going to pick another German pope, but instead they picked a Hispanic pope. You know, and that solidified that voting bloc. A lot of Hispanics
oh yeah,
in the Catholicism, and
Yeah.
so now we got a Spanish pope. So that's solidifying, you know, their Kool-Aid drink.
Yeah. I got you.
You know,
Yeah.
and so they're buying into it. And the same Willie Lynch plan, how to make a slave, is going to be implemented on those Hispanics the same way it was done to black people.
Yeah,
The women are going to be taken out of the scenario as being the foundation of the family and made an independent contractor. And their men, their Hispanic men, well, they are still being locked up and antagonized like blacks too. But they're going to give them a pass if they submit and go along with the removal and gentrification and extermination of black people.
Yeah, it's I think it'd be a I don't want to see it happen, but I think it'd be an interesting scenario because Hispanic people just have a different history in this country. Now, mind you, they also got a blueprint that we got to look at and be like, wait a minute now. So this is how it happened to them. Maybe we ought to be wary of certain influences coming down the pipe and be like, wait a minute, that's a red flag that we got a lot of history on, and we ain't gonna fall for that. Hopefully, if it goes into that direction, that's what they start to realize. Meanwhile, black folks, I think we're at the point to where we have to start selectively migrating to places now, right? I mean, if we're only expecting 30% of black people to return to the original communities where we grew up, where we got history, that's and if it's 30%, what's the mentality of 30% that's returning? Do they really want to practice a strong group economic system, right?
Well, all the other cultures, except our culture, stick together. They do business with each other.
Yeah.
So that 30% that's going to return, they're not going to be tied into a group economic system.
Okay.
They're just going to be going to be modified hosts.
I got
and
you.
they're just going to go along with the program, keep quiet,
Right.
not raise a voice because they're no longer going to have representation.
Right.
And they're going to be like, well, the master let me in here. I'm gonna just keep quiet.
I got you. I got you.
And so and then eventually when they die off, then the whole scenario changes.
Yeah, I mean, so what? But mind you, meanwhile, while the 30% are still living, the show doesn't stop for the other 70%. So again, this selective migration I think is paramount for our people right now. We have to, we almost have to revert back to, and this is regardless of what administration gets in office. Yeah. So, but we have to almost go back to the days because wasn't it back like in the 60s and the 70s where y'all were like, Atlanta's a good place for black people, Houston's a good place for black people, DC is a good place for black people, Philly's a good place for black people. Wasn't y'all making those kind of decisions as far as where y'all were going to live?
Yeah, it was happening, especially, Tampa is a very racist city. Mm-hmm. And a lot of folks just say, hey, threw their hands up and start looking at Atlanta. If you're in the South,
I got you.
Atlanta was the next stop. And then D.C. was the next, then some went up through through Tennessee to Chicago, and then Detroit.
Well,
But
what I'm getting at is now, mind you, as far as moving to the city, that's moving to another city. That's broad. I mean, my thing is if you got a city that's saying, hey, so black folks, we here, we build on our own. I mean, I say, hey, go for it. But what I'm getting,
this is why let's deal with the Indigo children, because unless a collective group. And not just only black, but when you see the Indigo children, it didn't discriminate, on what kind of bodies it comes. You know, you can be a Hispanic indigo child, you can be Caucasian, you can be black, but I think the indigo children are the ones that's going to make that change. So
Wait, what are you talking about? What change?
well, so let's read a description. I pulled this from off the internet from Gaia, and a young Caucasian woman I think wrote this the same thing that you have.
Okay.
Yeah, and her name is Andy Murphy, and she did a description on the indigo children, and so. I think that the indigo children are the ones that's going to make that difference. It's going to make that change, but they're not organized yet. They know that they have all these issues going on, and they have these abilities, but they don't have. I'm not going to say a leader, but a directive. How you work, because a lot of them, as written in this article,
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm an indigo child. I'm talking about a directive right now. Listen,
right.
so let's go ahead and get into it though. So when we're talking about a directive, I mean, like, give me just briefly, what would you tell indigo children to do as far as the next 5 to 10 years? How are they gonna get their act together?
So first of all, right now, so right now, they need to recognize each other. All right, and the common agenda will start to fall into place.
Not to cut you off, but I would say that's already done. We already know who each other are. Trust me. Social media has done that.
Okay.
Now what?
All right. So they need to set up chapters in every city, whether they do it by Zoom or have meetings. Now we have our group, and let's go through the description, because a lot of people don't know the indigo children, and they haven't, So
Well, yeah, let's read. You want me to read this?
yeah, go ahead.
All right. So first and foremost, what is an indigo child? All right. So this is 3 paragraphs I'm going to read. An indigo child or indigo kid is an upgrade blueprint of humanity, a term that came up when addressing the aura colors of these very different kids. Previously, auric fields were expected shades of the rainbow, but the indigo's field was dominated by a royal blue color, thus establishing a change of course in human evolution and their indigo aura. Now, side note, whoever wrote this, they got a funny way of writing. But either way, just bear with me. Gifted children on a clear mission to change and shift reality, they first began appearing in the 1970s. Beyond psychic awareness, they are highly driven and creative with a perception that sees through the established norms of society. Old souls indeed. Their mission is clearly laid out to shake up the modern world and pave a way for the future generations to create greater peace and harmony for all. Both of these generations of children are well into their teens and adulthood. So don't allow the label to dissuade you from exploring the concept of indigo children. So that is a,
All right.
I say a general description of what
Okay.
indigo children are.
Okay. So the two issues. So there are 13 signs.
The traits.
Traits, okay? I have my notes, and I'm only going to go in specifics on 2, because that'll take up 2 more shows. All right, so you feel spiritually awakened. So in most cases, you were born to be a light worker and have felt from a very young age that you were tapped into something spiritually greater than most people. That's a little bit more descriptive. That's one. Also, another one is you are destined to be here. In most cases, you're arrogant, or you have a lot of confidence. I like to say versus arrogance, confidence. Yeah. And on this planet, you're on this planet for a particular reason. So it's kind of like an alienated, like you were dropped off and marooned on this planet, and so a lot of these kids, they feel isolated. Well, why are people acting like that? Why are they doing these ugly things to each other?
Right.
But these are some of the signs to let you know that you may be an indigo child. High expectations of yourself and others. Strong intuition. You question authority. You want to overturn man's and the systems that are in place. You are creative. You are a change maker. You are a lost soul. But what I think in the writing, it should have been an alien soul. So you're not lost in terms of you've just given up. But I think that in most cases, you realize that you have been, you feel, like I said earlier, deserted or isolated. You are headstrong. You are passionate and focused. You have psychic abilities, and you are frustrated. So the frustration comes in where you know you have all of these abilities, and you're trying to get this narrative or these agendas going, but the rest of the humans are not getting with it. They're not moving with your program, and that's what frustrates them. And so a lot of times, these kids are diagnosed as ADHD. They have depression. In a lot of cases, they have high integrity.
Yeah.
And in some cases, the psychiatry industry have prescribed Ritalin. Is that Ritalin?
Ritalin, yeah.
Yeah, Ritalin.
I call it Ritalin.
Yeah,
Ritalin.
You know, to seduce you or to dumb you down so that you won't exude or these sort of characteristics. So the system knows that these children are here. But here's the deal. Every one of these items and every one of these points, I felt them since I was a child. I was born in '52. So what she's saying that most of them came along in '70, you know, may or may not be accurate. But she did say that there are some that came before, like scouts, to check out the terrain and what have you. So, but it's very important for you to understand if these things are going on in your life, you're feeling frustrated, you have these abilities, you have this sort of persona or personality, you all need to come together. Now, we have, you know, if you're interested in joining our collective here in the Central Florida area, then just go to UPAALL.com, put your information in there, contact information, and just write Indigo. You don't have to go into full explanation. We'll know what you're talking about. Just write Indigo, INDIGO, and we'll get in touch with you. We have a plan to bring you together, a plan to amplify those skills and personalities. But now, you said you believe you're indigo children. So which one of these traits, you know?
Shit, all of them. Man, listen. So, you know, it starts, you know, when you're really young, and you experience all of these things. You know, usually for me, it's, you know, it started when I was like 10 or something like that. But and I'll be honest with you, it comes faster if you're not immediately subjected to or introduced to like an indoctrination of anything. And I'm not jumping on anybody's religion right now, and I say that about any kind of indoctrination. I mean, an indoctrination is just a particular system someone puts on your mind. It's usually introduced to you at a very young age while your mind is developing, and it's kind of like an application that somebody downloads into your brain, and you operate with it for a long time. And what it does is it doesn't, you know, what depending on the indoctrination, doesn't really allow you to explore and receive feedback from nature in real time, because it's usually not your perspective that you're using. So, like I say, if you've been, you know, subjected to any kind of indoctrination, it usually takes longer for you to realize that you are you know, frustrated. You know what I'm saying? You in other words, going down the list of everything that we described. You know, you may not feel all of the symptoms right away. It may take you wait till you well into your 20s or something like that to feel. Either way, it doesn't matter. You know, waking up to that vibration. Because again, we're talking about blue indigo fields, that is a particular vibration on the color spectrum. So if it's taking you a while, that's fine. That does not mean you ain't an indigo child. You don't have to. As a matter of fact, you don't have to be. The term indigo child doesn't really. It's kind of like a misnomer. You can just be. An indigo person is an indigo person. Period. You don't necessarily have to be a child to be an indigo child.
Yeah. I'm 68.
You
and
see
I'm
what
one.
I'm saying? So, vibrating on that frequency is what it is. If you feeling it at this point in your life, then you feeling it, it's the right time for you, and you. I know you also feel this, that you need to connect with other people who think and feel the same way you do. Trust me, I get it. Trust me, I get that. So again, that's what we're here for. Again, do either one of the two. Leave us a comment or leave us a message in our Straight Talk Saturday morning page inbox, or go to upall.com. And like he said, just leave us a note. Says I'm sorry, not messenger, but indigo on it. We'll know who you are, and we'll respond to you and collaborate with you.
So one of the points here that I really co-signed off with this young lady, what she was talking about, and you read it earlier, that a lot of hues from humans that are native to this planet, and that was very interesting. Native to this planet. So there are souls that have been here since the beginning of time that are still going through a spiritual evolutionary process. But indigo children are beings that are brought from other solar systems that incarnate in the bodies here, and they know that they were brought here for a specific reason. They know that they were brought here to enlighten. You would think I think it's synonymous with Christ child, indigo child. Because you have one purpose, is to come here and to enlighten and to help educate and help change the existing system, the systems that are doing the horrible things that are operating here on this planet. And so it is very critical that this group comes together, because everybody's not going to get it. The indigo children are getting it. They're just frustrated because they are not organized. So as an elder indigo child, I'm going to provide some leadership, and not to boss you around, not to stand up on a crown or a throne and say I'm the king indigo, but to as an elder guide you. We have a plan. We have a solution to the problem. But the nucleus of what these indigo children will provide will create, through their supernatural powers, they will manifest miracles to demonstrate by example. And that's the key issue right now.
Mm-hmm.
All the other groups will see those miracles and then go, ooh, wow, So how did you all do that? And indigo children are aligned with all of these attributes and all these abilities, to say we stayed focused, we maintain integrity, and we've known since we were little children, we were different. We didn't do the horrible things to insects and animals that some kids did. So you know who you are out there, and we know you're frustrated, but you need to come join up with us at upall.com and sign up. All right. So in part we're going to talk more about. We're going to do a segment, because I don't think that we did the justice that we wanted to do to get you to understand. But right now, you are needed to stabilize, to usher in, excuse me, this paradigm shift. So come join up with us. And don't forget Chris Asafa with Blue Skies Insurance. You can reach her at 813-766-4474. She will help you with your insurance. I don't care if you're young, she'll explain to you how to sign up with your parents' insurance. If you don't have any insurance, she's going to tell you how to get into a plan. Or if your insurance that you have is not working, she's going to direct you into a different plan, because she sits down and she's a nerd and she reads line by line to make that determination. of what plan is more appropriate for you. So give Chris a call at Blue Skies Insurance. Hey man, I done said a mouthful. You want to take us out? I think we got like a minute.
Oh yeah, how much time we got left, guys?
1 minute.
Say 60 seconds. Yeah, so we're gonna leave it off with the Indigo Children. Listen here, you know, me and Pops, we go back and forth about what we feel needs to be built in the next 10 to 15 years. Either way, we're only two minds. We're some great minds, but we're still only two minds. And based on everything that I've learned on my journey through this, pretty much through my whole life, with these Indigo Children, these light workers, these spiritual warriors, I've learned a lot from y'all. People have learned some things from me. But I've never been arrogant enough to say that, my plan, my idea is the best and only plan. So it is absolutely paramount that you guys come reach out to us, get involved with us, because we only here to do this for you. We here to build this for you guys. So come join us. Come join the UPA team. We love to see you. We love to talk with you. All of that nerd stuff, we love to talk about that. That's our main topics of discussion.
All right. This has been the Straight Talk Morning Show, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.
Take care.